Hello and welcome to Hysteria. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco.
Alyssa, less than a week left to vote. Let's start with some piping hot spite to get us to the finish line.
Okay.
Whose vote are you going to cancel out with yours?
Whose vote am I going to cancel out? You know whose vote I'm going to cancel out? The person who tailgated me the other day and screamed out the window, "Cry liberal tears." That person.
Oh, God. Yeah, cancel the fuck out of that vote.
Yeah, canceled. What about you?
I'm personally canceling out Rick Caruso's vote. Personally.
Oh, that feels good.
Yeah, that's my personal mission. That's who I'm going to picture. When I go vote, I'm canceling out Rick Caruso specifically by voting for Karen Bass for mayor of LA. All right, Alyssa, let's get to the most important story in the news. I have been awake since about 2 a.m.
Some bullshit right there.
It sucks. I'm really running on fumes right now. I cannot wait until we're done doing this so I can
Let
take
me
a
be
nap.
your feet.
Are you it was then that I carried youing me?
Yeah,
you're like the
totally,
one set of footprints on the but I recognize that they're your footprints because they are clogs. Like there is one set of clog footprints on the beach.
Barney Rubble feet just right beside you.
Well, I'm very lucky to have you at my side per usual, but especially today because I'm not doing great. But let's start the real news with some encouraging sound.
And so what I'm worried about is that the rule that you're advocating, that in the context of a holistic review process, a university can take into account and value all of the other background and personal characteristics of other applicants, but they can't value race. What I'm worried about is that that seems to me to have the potential of causing more of an equal protection problem than it's actually solving. And the reason why I get to that possible conclusion is thinking about 2 applicants who would like to have their family backgrounds credited in this applications process, and I'm hoping to get your reaction to this hypothetical. The first applicant says, "I'm from North Carolina. My family has been in this area for generations, since before the Civil War, and I would like you to know that I will be the 5th generation to graduate from the University of North Carolina. I now have that opportunity to do that, and given my family background, it's important to me that I get to attend this university. I want to honor my family's legacy by going to this school." The second applicant says, "I'm from North Carolina. My family's been in this area for generations, since before the Civil War, but they were slaves and never had a chance to attend this venerable institution. As an African American, I now have that opportunity, and given my family background, it's important to me to attend this university. I want to honor my family legacy by going to this school." Now, as I understand your no race conscious admissions rule, these 2 applicants would have a dramatically different opportunity to tell their family stories and to have them count. The first applicant would be able to have his family background considered and valued by the institution as a part of its consideration of whether or not to admit him, while the second one wouldn't be able to, because his story is in many ways bound up with his race and with the race of his ancestors. So I want to know, based on how your rule would likely play out in scenarios like that, why excluding consideration of race in a situation in which the person is not saying that his race is something that has impacted him in a negative way. He just wants to have it honored, just like the other person has their personal background family story honored. Why is telling him no not an equal protection violation?
You just heard Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson asking some questions, talking during a case before the Supreme Court that could make affirmative action in college admissions illegal. So on one hand, it's great to have you on the court, Justice Jackson. Love listening to her. She's great. But on the other, this is not a great moment in American history. And she does raise an interesting point. You know what? I think that people who are descended from slave owners just straight up shouldn't be allowed to go to college.
I mean, well, they shouldn't be able to use it as bragging rights. That's for damn sure.
Nope, no college. I'm gonna take the extreme position.
You're a hardliner, Erin. You're a hardliner.
Your great grandparents were like plantation owners, like Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Django Unchained, your descendants are not allowed to go to college.
That's fine. You know, fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect me.
No, doesn't affect me either. I think we were more. What's the line from 30 Rock that Jack uses to just like, we were more like, cleaning, farming people.
That's cleaning, farming people.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to what this case is about to do. I'm sure on Strict Scrutiny, they're talking about this in depth. So if you want some really smart legal analysis by some really smart legal brains, definitely check out Strict Scrutiny. But we're going to give you a quick rundown on what the case is about and what's probably going to happen. So on October 31st, there were about 5 hours of oral argument. Okay, real quick.
Talk.
So many hours of oral argument, right? What's going to happen when we start getting millennial Supreme Court justices who like have to go 5 hours without looking at their phones? Like, are they going to have to?
No, they're going to need phone breaks.
Maybe they're going to be able to Twitch stream each of their like faces.
You're using words I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the generational divide. So 5 hours of oral argument on Halloween. There were challenges to Harvard University and the University of North Carolina's policy to consider race as a factor in their respective admission processes. As this ruling will probably come down next spring, right now it looks like there's a comfortable majority to overturn 44 years of precedent and make it so that race can no longer be considered a factor in college admissions.
Whew.
What do you make of this, Alyssa?
Well, Erin, it's funny. One, I listened to as much of the oral arguments as I could. If you look back to 1978 when the first case was decided, I mean, affirmative action has been upheld every time by one vote. So it's not shocking that we're in this place now. I think what is shocking, and I think it was Justice Kagan who first made the point, but then Sonia Sotomayor and Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson also piled on, that for a court full of conservative originalists, they're kind of completely ignoring the 14th Amendment and like how this would impact equal protection. And I think it was Dahlia Lithwick who had written that basically if you take the sum total of the framing of the conservative justices, it basically could be described as like looking at Brown versus Board of Education and saying that it was correctly decided not because it gave protections to Black children to obtain a good education and equal education, but because it freed both Black and white children from racial classifications. Like, I don't know what they are. I just think it's fucking hypocritical. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking hypocritical. You are an originalist when you want to be, and you are a petty bitch as Alito and Thomas and Gorsuch. Some of their quotes, Erin, blew my mind.
Oh, can I read you one of Thomas's?
Please. I have a couple, and I see we have I knew that we would both hone in on the very pettiness that is afforded to us. So please go ahead with Thomas.
First of all, the geniuses who designed our country just decided that putting a herd of dorky turtles in charge of the legal system and having no checks for them was a great call. I'm starting to think that a bunch of 18 to 30-year-old tax dodgers might not have designed the most foolproof system of government. Like, it had a good run.
Sounds
it had a good run, but we're kind of like getting to the point in the Monopoly game when one person owns like all of the fancy properties and everyone is like, can we stop fucking playing this game? And the only person who likes to play it is
Park Place. Let me get back to my life.
It's like, I'm tired of playing Monopoly. And then you're like, that's the moment when you realize your friend that owns all the property but is like, no, keep playing, is a sociopath. And you're like, well. Okay, so back to what Justice Thomas. I told you I was loopy today, Alyssa.
Yeah,
back to
but
what
we're
Justice
doing it.
Thomas,
We're doing it. We're getting it done.
Sure. His first question for UNC's lawyer Ryan Park was, "I've heard the word diversity quite a few times, and I don't have a clue what it means. It seems to mean everything for everyone." That's like a
What?
That's like a Ron Burgundy style quote. Like, it's like,
Well, you know what? Not even Ron Burgundy would go on to say that Jim Crow and affirmative action are somewhat indistinguishable.
okay. It's extremely rich coming from the person who was appointed after a search for a black conservative justice after Thurgood Marshall left the court. Like,
Yeah.
he was picked by the original George Bush specifically because he was the black Republican. He was like woefully underqualified. He honestly, look, Justice Clarence Thomas, I think that he thinks affirmative action is bad because he realizes deep down that he is the worst Supreme Court justice. And
Ever.
the reason that he has his job is because conservatives wanted somebody like him to do their bidding. And it's gross, to be frank. Amy Coney Barrett, same thing, was picked for the Supreme Court because she's a woman. After Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, I think that that the former president thought that it would be a great way to own the libs by appointing Ruth Bader Ginsburg's ideological female opposite to replace her. But yeah, I would love to hear you talk a little bit more about some good quotes because I wanted to get into like our girl Kagan.
Oh, no. The only other one I heard that I really just felt a need to flag here was Justice Alito, who
wouldn't know? He's Italian. Like the original framers of the Constitution would be like, Italian?
Yeah. Shut up,
Whatever.
Alito.
And
But
Catholic.
apparently
And Catholic.
He threw some bomb where he said that, we have to protect against things like Elizabeth Warren using quote unquote family lore to say that she is of Native American heritage. Like, you're a Supreme Court justice. You're trying to maintain that the court is somewhat legitimate, and you fucking throw a bomb at EW. Like, you're petty bitch.
What a weird, like, how do you have time to watch Fox News, sir? You have like, are you a shit poster? Like, I want to know what Alito's
what is that?
Online activity is like, because I wouldn't be. Yeah, he probably has a 4chan account. Anyway, Justice Kagan brought something up during the oral arguments that I thought was really interesting, and she pointed out that right now, statistically, girls, when they graduate from high school, are much more qualified for college than boys. And the gap is growing. Nothing is being done to make our education system better serve boys. Nothing. And so as that gap grows, actually women who were the beneficiaries, specifically white women who were historically the major beneficiaries of affirmative action, will continue to run away with the game because boys are not as qualified for college as a population as girls. And so schools are going to have like super lopsided gender balances. And like, honestly, I don't know why college isn't for everybody. And I think that trying to pretend like it isn't great. But I also think that like the environment of school suffers the more homogenized the population is.
Yeah, totally.
Although I can say if colleges kind of like became de facto all women's institutions, I think they would probably be better.
Well, you know that that they would just end up with, we'd have all men's schools. They'd be like, we need our own place.
Yeah,
Can't have all you women around all the time. All men's schools.
The world is already a man cave. So like
it's a giant man cave.
But you know, another thing that I wanted to bring up is that the audacity of white conservative men to believe that if only affirmative action were eliminated, they would be the ones to come on top. They would they would be the ones to come out on top. I think they believe deep down inside that they have been robbed of things because somebody who is a non-white, non-man was given it. You know, that there are
Yes.
men that if everything else is equal and all we consider are just like the raw qualifications, the people that will come up on top are the people that look just like them.
It's, Erin, it's like I would just love to be a fly on the wall when Brett Kavanaugh's talking to Squee, being like, I got fucking screwed in this world.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I would love to see, I'm curious if very many conservatives understand, like, first of all, white people are not the best students. They're not at all. If you take a look at, there are colleges in California where the balance is like Asian American students are just like kicking everybody's ass. And as a result, schools in California have tried to figure out ways to encourage other ethnic groups to go to their schools to increase the diversity. I think the fact that these conservatives believe that what will happen is now things will go back to how they looked in like the 1950s is just it's foolish. Also, like, let's get rid of legacy admissions forever.
Yeah, fine.
At every school. And also because, like, I don't know, who would you rather go to college with? A student who grew up in a disadvantaged district from a background that is not white, who maybe didn't have access to all of the resources to do test prep, or to have somebody on them from 8th grade being like, we got to get you ready to apply to Yale, but nevertheless worked really hard, did the best they could given their circumstances, and have all of the makings of somebody who in every environment that they are in, they will figure out a way to not only survive but excel. Would you rather go to college with that person or Jared Kushner?
Oh, please.
Like, the problem is, this is another, whatever. I'm like going off the rails here, but this is another issue that I think conservatives have successfully made into one of white people versus everyone else, when really everybody else should just be mad at rich people. Like, we could be uniting and being like, wait a minute, get rid of legacy admissions.
Yeah.
Instead of like getting mad at like the low income person who learned English as a second language, who had slightly lower grades but got into your dream school when you didn't.
That's exactly right.
Anyway, okay. All right, let's talk a little bit. Oh God, this Pelosi attack.
Fucking terrible.
It was. So where are you with this right now?
In what way?
I mean, have you been following the story? Have you been able to like keep up on?
Oh, believe me. Well, because one, like, of course, following the story. Two, Caroline, our producer, brought this up and it has rocked me ever since. Why is everyone going live from outside of their house? Do we need to broadcast more where they live? I mean, it just seems like utterly unnecessary, but it really did, like, I think the story was just so crazy when you first heard about it. You're like, wait a minute, how is this possible? Doesn't she have Capitol Police at her house? Like, no.
Well, not in San Francisco.
No, not in San Francisco, but it is just an incredible, the whole thing is tragic, but also just this crazy, almost unbelievable story from Paul Pelosi going into the bathroom where his phone was plugged in to call 911 and leave it. Let me tell you something. It is a real just eyeballs at young people who are like, old people, bleh. I don't know that I would have had the presence of mind to go and fucking put 911 on speakerphone and be like, come find me, basically. And I think the thing that is the most, this is a terrible, fucking violent, brutal attack. And I think the thing that is the absolute most disgusting, and Erin, to confirm my beliefs, last night I watched that OAN network because I was like,
why did you do that?
Because I wanted to see what they were saying. And you know what? In no world, I could not imagine somebody hurting Mitch McConnell's family and any Democrat getting on TV being like, well, you know, like, and making jokes about it. Like, Kari Lake is a repugnant human being, but like also kind of a scared little bitch, because when she stood on stage and made jokes about the Pelosi's not having good enough security.
Nancy Pelosi, well, she's got protection when she's in D.C. Apparently her house doesn't have a lot of protection.
Or when Glenn Youngkin is like, oh yeah, let's send Nancy back to be with Paul in California, and he meant it in a very not nice way.
Speaker Pelosi's husband, they had a break-in last night in their house, and he was assaulted. There's no room for violence anywhere, but we're going to send her back to be with him in California. That's what we're going to go do. That's what we're going to go do.
I just think that they should at least own what they said. Because then when Kari Lake was called on it, she's like, I didn't say that. It was taken out of context. Own your fucking shittiness, you bitch. Like, just own your shittiness. That it is what you said. Tons of people played the whole quote. But in general, I think it's like pretty scary. And I think that if you're someone who is open about your political beliefs and you're not part of the MAGA community, I think it's just a kind of a reminder that there's like danger around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny. There's not a lot of I think people like Ted Cruz were sharing misinformation, disinformation about the nature of the attack before we even knew anything. And these are the same people who were beyond pissed that people were standing on a public sidewalk outside of Justice Kavanaugh's house after Dobbs came down. And it's, I mean, like being like, you guys are hypocrites. It doesn't matter because nobody's going to punish them for it. Right. But I think it's important for us to just clock the hypocrisy just so that we can, like, we're not going nuts, are we? Like, no. You caught that. I caught that. These people are complete craven hypocrites and they make no sense and they have no plan. And
that's kind of the through line for news today. Conservative hypocrisy.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, nobody who wants to vote for them really cares. And the people who don't want to vote for them are so turned off by the just constant threat level orange of the news cycle that I think that they tune things out when really it's like, dude, like we're the frog is almost boiled here, you know?
Yeah.
And it's upsetting. I actually deleted Twitter from my phone. I mean, I've gone back and forth with it, but like this weekend, you know, when the sale was closed with Mr. Musk, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try not having it on my phone and see if my life is better. It's been great. I gotta say.
That is awesome. I try to not open it because I should just delete it from my phone, because I don't have it on my computer. I don't have any social media on my computer because I'm like, when I'm on my computer, I should really do work.
Mm-hmm. That's smart.
But I mean, an Elon Musk retweeting 112 million followers he has, retweeting some fucking bullshit, fake news, false story.
Yeah.
So glad he's the head of the public town square.
Yeah, my thoughts on this are like he's really tanking it more quickly than anybody thought. But the other side of that is I think that Twitter in some cases, I mean, when I was like working in a newsroom, it was a really helpful way to just kind of like take the temperature when news was breaking. Especially there are some really, really good, reliable people on Twitter at just like disseminating information and catching up on what's going on. But I also think that it has bred a sort of complacency in newsrooms, not individual reporters, in newsrooms themselves, and not my newsroom, but I've just noticed it.
Obviously.
Where people are less likely to go out into the world and touch grass and like talk to real people and like do the type of old-fashioned reporting. And that's because it takes a lot of time and resources to do that. And I think Twitter really contributed to the take machine. Mm-hmm. And to see the take machine's engine shut down would actually probably be better for news and commentary in the long run. But we do need some kind of social media where it's possible for people who are verified individuals are able to communicate with the public. Yeah. I think, and you know, Facebook is kind of over. Instagram is like the algorithm makes it all weird. So whatever that app is might be TBD. It's not Be Real, I'll tell you that.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you more
Thanks
about
so much.
after this recording. Okay, we have 1 week left before the midterms.
Yes. Have you voted? Have you voted?
No, Josh and I are going to fill out our ballots together. We're going to, and also I wanted to let everyone know that if you have the possibility of, like, California is it's really easy to vote. They send you a ballot and, you know, and there's a million places to get like ballot guides. Vote Save America's ballot guide is really, really good if you live in a place that doesn't have as many resources available to you. Yeah, so we're going to fill out our ballots together. We're going to drop them off together, and I'm really looking forward to voting for Karen Bass for mayor of LA. It is closer than it should be.
It is Erin, and this is the thing. All the polls, I just think they're all lies right now. You can't. It's like whatever. We just have to consider everything close, and everyone has to go vote. I mean, I live in New York, and the panic over how close the polls are between Kathy Hochul and malevolent twerp Lee Zeldin.
He is a malevolent twerp.
He's a malevolent twerp. He's like, I look at him and I was like, you literally cannot be the governor of New York. You're like, I mean, I'm not saying Cuomo is the standard bearer here, but like, let's New York tough it up a little bit, you twerp.
Yeah.
But it is real here in New York, and the polls, it's not feeling overwhelmingly blue wave up here. Mm-hmm. So everybody needs to go vote.
Again, like, polling is so unreliable. And I hate that conversations are so reliant on polling, but also, you know, like, how else is this information is unknowable information.
Right.
The only thing you can know yourself is, did you vote? Did you text? You know what? If you have your phone right now and you're not driving and it's possible for you, take your phone out and send a message to your group chat, your favorite group chat. Hey, has everyone voted? Does everyone have their ballot? Has everyone voted? What's your plan to vote?
And if you go in person, thank your poll workers. It's tough out there. And I mean, I went in to vote early in person on Sunday, and smiles, helpfulness, you know, it's just, God bless.
Yeah, their poll workers are the greatest. I also wanted to give I want to single out two special states. Wisconsin, you guys.
Come on,
listen.
Let's go.
You have a chance to kick out the dumbest bitch in the Senate. Ron Johnson is the dumbest bitch in the Senate, and he represents you right now. How embarrassing for you.
Embarrassing.
Get him out of there. Get him out of there. He's Mandela Barnes would be so much better in every way.
Incredible.
Than Ron Johnson. Second, Arizona.
Oh.
Guys.
Literally. Come on.
Guys, I know
Let's
you
go.
have it in you. I know you have it in you. You elected Mark Kelly. I know you have it in you. You gave your state went for Biden. I know you've got it. You just you have to vote for Katie Hobbs.
In the words of Elizabeth Warren, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's go
also,
vote.
like, God, you guys, like, Kari Lake would be a step. What was that, like, radiologist who appeared to be herself radiated, who was the governor of Arizona for a while?
I have no idea.
You know, she was like the one that pointed at Barack Obama. She was like a...
Oh, she was a bit craggly.
Yeah. The radiated
what was her
radiologist. I don't know, but she, like, Kari Lake is as bad, if not worse than she is.
Jan Brewer.
Oh, yeah.
Jan Brewer.
Jan the ma'am. Okay, so yes, if you haven't voted, vote as soon as you can. Tell all your friends you got to vote. We have a week left, or less than a week left, of voting. We're probably not going to know everything that happened for a couple weeks. I hate election night. I hate election night.
It's so, we'll spend it just texting each other.
We'll spend it texting, maybe a little bit in the group chat, both of us occasionally, like, poking into the crooked media live stream and being like, you guys, this is a bad way to construct a narrative about the results of an election when Democrats are more likely to vote early. So yeah, nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm nervous about it. Everyone should be nervous about it. And then, you know, hopefully we can take a short break in nervousness after more of the returns come in.